Well, welcome back to the podcast, a conversation with Jeff Bucknam. And Jeff Bucknam is the lead teaching pastor at Harvest Bible Chapel in
Tommy,
Chicagoland.
do you like your name?
Yeah, I do.
Do you like your name, Tommy Creutz?
Creutz, yeah.
Oh, Creutz.
Creutz. We've done this.
Okay, but I'm not a big fan of my name.
You're not?
No, it always sounds weird.
When I say Jeff
Conversations
Bucknam?
with Jeff Bucknam, I keep thinking there's a better title for this podcast.
It's a
but
great.
I'm not entirely sure
Well, it's a very
what it is. It's very descriptive.
Yeah, we believe in calling things like what they are, and that's it. This is exactly.
Do you remember back in the day though that there was in the church world, you didn't call things like they were. So
you made
in the
it
late
mysterious.
90s.
Yeah.
It was when I started
Jubilee.
when I started being part of the young adults ministry, I was moved from New Zealand to come to Canada. It was called In Extreme.
In Extreme.
Which I was like, oh.
Yeah.
But then I was like, well, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
We need to pick something Latin.
Ooh, what'd
so
you call it?
Sola.
Oh, of course.
Right?
Like the five solas.
Only
yeah.
in the five solas of the Reformation.
Yeah. That's very
And then the people
reformed of
after
you.
me were like,
what if we didn't?
we could just call it Northview Young Adults.
You could, yeah.
Yeah. And just then I came here and it's like Harvest Young Adults. I was like, oh.
That's not, yeah.
But you guys should go back to like.
Find it something else?
Yeah, Lord of the Rings titles. And
Oh,
stuff.
yes.
Rivendell group.
Rivendell.
Right?
Yes.
What was the big? There's a big. The underground area where all the orcs were. What
I
is that
want you to
called?
say it. Wait, which one?
Morag or
Moria?
Moria.
The Mines of Moria?
Yeah. You could call it Moria Fellowship.
Wow. The fellowship of the...
A fellowship of the people.
Way of the people. That is, my youth group in high school was called H2O. Because you know that Jesus is the living water.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So...
There it is.
Yeah. You'll never thirst again.
There it is.
That was...
Is that what they said?
That's what they said, yeah.
There was what the church... C, say letter C.
Yep.
Q.
CQ.
CQ. We want to seek you, God.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
No, come on.
Okay.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay.
That was... people sat around and came up with these
Yeah, they
titles.
did. I mean,
everyone's going to come if we call it the Lighthouse.
Yep. Because that's what guides the ships into the harbor.
Totally.
And we're guiding people into the kingdom.
Okay, what kind of church is this? If I give you a title,
yeah,
what kind of church is it?
Okay, I'll try.
All right,
I'll try. Evangelical.
No. What kind of evangelical?
Oh.
Living Water Fellowship.
Yeah, it's charismatic.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
The River Sorry, they're always all the charismatic ones have to do with water or fire.
Yeah, or have the First Assembly in it.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
Yep.
Well, they named the EV Free Church in Chicago here, Arlington Heights EV Free. They named it the Orchard.
Yeah,
which is
the Orchard.
Interesting because years ago I knew about that, but now.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is not why people tuned into this.
This isn't, but hey, hope you're having fun with us.
Yeah.
Jeff, let's we could get to we're gonna have a conversation.
We are.
And by the way,
I'm
your host, Tommy Creutz. So if you didn't know that and you're just tuning in, welcome. We're glad that you're listening. And this is the part of the podcast where we just kind of talk about whatever we want, and sometimes nothing at all, which is really fun.
Yeah, it's the Seinfeld
for us
portion of the
yeah.
So that's a dated reference, isn't it? Seinfeld.
It is now. It's becoming more and more.
Yeah, Seinfeld was a show about nothing.
Yeah.
And this is the portion of the show, which you can fast forward if you want to go and get to the conversation with Stephanie.
Absolutely.
But we had a couple things we wanted to talk about.
We did, yeah. So, I want to know, how do you feel about concerts? And two, what is your favorite concert you've ever been to?
You're asking this because Stephanie's she's a fan of concerts.
She is. So this is kind of a segue.
Yeah. What
if
is,
you will.
What do I think about concerts?
What do you think about concerts? How do you feel about them? And what has been your favorite one if you've ever been to one?
The answer to the first question is overrated.
Okay.
And
hot take. We're gonna call this hot takes with Jeff Bucknam.
The second one. What is the best concert I've ever been to?
Well, if they're overrated, can you even name one?
Oh man, I don't go to a lot of concerts.
Name some that you've been to.
So listen, when I was a kid, grew up kind of listening to 1980s Duran Duran, Tears for Fears, that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then I became a Christian.
Yeah.
And they told me to get rid of all my stuff.
That's all devil music. Yeah.
And then when I got rid of all the stuff, I started going to Christian concerts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've been to a Petra concert.
Yes, let's go.
Which I guess it was okay. It was
Is Petra As Long As I Will
Stephen
Live?
Curtis Chapman. I was in there.
Stephen Curtis?
I went to a concert.
Did you go to the dive?
I don't even know.
I'm diving in.
No.
I'm go. Okay. Just kidding. I'm so sorry that I just sang for you all.
That concert. You know what? There was actually a group called Take Six.
Yeah.
Who were remember back in they were days of acapella. Okay, so I went to a concert of theirs that was had actually at a community college sort of near me.
Okay.
It just had like 6 stools and a little white towel on each one, I guess. And they just came out and there were no instruments in the whole thing.
They just went for it.
I actually thought that was amazing.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was fantastic. My sister told me, she was a big concert goer, and she said the best concert she ever went to was MC Hammer.
Really?
Yeah, because they had...
I mean, I don't know why I'm shocked by that.
Because
sure, it was incredible.
There was like 30 people on the stage just doing something.
Yeah, wow.
Dancing
that's quite a production.
But they would do it in unison sometimes, and other times they weren't. She said it was just like a visual feast.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
What was yours? What's your favorite concert ever?
Oh, man. I love concerts. My favorite concert...
Why do you love them?
It's an experience. It's really fun. Like, I love music, so like typically the best sound that you'll ever get is through gigantic $1 million speaker systems. Okay. So like you really feel the music. It's live. It's like raw. Well, for most people, the bands that I like to go to, like it's not, it's where you learn track lip syncing,
you learn the powers of auto-tune, don't you?
Yeah, right. Which they probably do to some extent have that live even because you can do that now. Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh, I should go on tour.
Yeah, we could. You just have to
conversations with
Jeff Bucknam singing tour. Let's give him a taste right now. I'm just kidding. Oh man, people are definitely going to skip through this now. My favorite concert I think that I've ever gone to is weirdly like the Flaming Lips, which is like it was just so bizarre. It was such a bizarre.
I've never heard.
Yeah, not a popular band by any means, but the guy. Here's why it was my favorite: is at one point the lead singer got in. You know what a Zorb is?
No.
It's like a big inflatable circle that you get inside.
Oh yeah. You can roll around in.
He got in that and he went into the crowd on the Zorb, like
while singing,
and everyone was holding him up.
Was he singing?
He was singing. And then he sang Ground Control to Major Tom in the middle of the crowd in the Zorb.
Wow.
It was like...
That's unique.
Yes, it was so unique. I was like, what is happening right now?
Yeah.
And there was a lot of lasers and stuff. And, I'm just like, as a Star Wars fan, you got to love that. So
I guess yes, you do.
So
I'm actually excited to talk to. So I'm going to ask this question to Stephanie.
Yes, good.
What's her favorite concert ever?
Yeah. This is a very good question, and I'm glad now we know that we have to take you to a concert.
Yeah,
acapella maybe.
No, you're not.
The Pentatonics are big.
Yeah, I know them.
You do?
I do.
Okay, so maybe we're taking Jeff.
All right, it's time to interview Stephanie.
Let's interview Stephanie. She's got a story because everyone has a story, and so you guys are gonna have a conversation about that, and we're gonna get into that right now. Let's go.
Well, here I sit with Stephanie Olford. She is the Women's Ministry Director at Harvest Bible Chapel. A new job for you.
Yes, very new.
Only the last little while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Stephanie, I'm really excited that I don't know who I'm talking to until I show up on the day. And so I walked in today, you and your sister were sitting here, and so I didn't know. It was like a 50-50 chance of which Ulford we were gonna get, but I'm excited that it's you.
I'm excited to be here.
Okay, Stephanie, you come from famous. First of all, you like concerts.
I do.
Yeah. Why?
I love music a lot, and I love the experience of going to a concert. You go with your friends, you get dinner before, you're at the concert, you're taking in the music.
It's like a movie then.
Oh, it's the best.
It's the same thing as a movie.
It's so good.
It's just really expensive.
It is.
And a lot of weed.
Yeah, sometimes.
I mean, not that you guys are doing it, but that's what it smells like, marijuana everywhere. So what was your best concert ever? Adele.
Yes.
How long ago was this?
This was in 2017.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was the
Hello.
Yes.
It's me.
Yes, she opened with that. And so it was crazy.
Really? The hello, it's me?
Yes. I was like, and I love her. I was so excited. But actually, one of the girls I mentored at the student ministry I was in, her dad had bought these tickets for like all his business friends. And like, she's like, my dad has an extra ticket. And I was like, are you kidding me? So I went like.
With a bunch of business friends.
Yeah, like all these businessmen and me. And I'm like, I stick out like a sore thumb. Like they're all sitting there like very nicely dressed.
I was going to say, were they as engaged in Adele as you were?
Oh no, I'm like crying and like, so into it. And they're just like, this is just a normal Saturday night. Like they're like used to going to these fancy things. And I'm like.
Did you get a chance to meet Adele?
Oh no.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no way.
There's always a way.
Yeah.
You should have given me a call. She and I we know each other.
Oh, I knew it.
I don't know. She sure can sing, though. There's no question about that. So can you, Stephanie. Stephanie, you are a woman of many talents, and this is something I'm really interested in getting into in the next little bit. First of all, though, you come from like blue blood Christian stock, don't you?
A little bit.
Like the Ulford name. Is it Ulford?
Ulford.
Ulford name is rich with Christian history. Tell me why.
Yeah. So, well, it goes back quite a ways, but like our great-grandparents were missionaries in Africa. And then my grandfather was an evangelist and did revivals and crusades with Billy Graham and that whole crew. And he pastored a church in New York.
What was the name of the church?
What's the name of the church, Linz? Calvary? Calvary.
Downtown New York City.
Yeah, right downtown. So he was there for a long time and started a preaching ministry of training up pastors. And that's what my dad does, is he trains pastors from all over the world.
So if you've heard the name Stephen Olford, that's your grandfather.
Yes.
And your dad's name is?
David
Ulford.
Yeah.
But neither of them are the most famous Ulford. Stephanie Olford is the most famous. Well, at least for today you are.
For the podcast.
A lot of good preaching stock then. Yeah? So would you grow up in, you grew up in a really committed Christian home then?
Yes. Yeah.
Like a ministry home. Did you always expect to be in ministry?
Not really. Like my mom was a women's director, so like both my parents were in ministry. I mean, when you're a kid, I was like, I'm gonna be a pop star. Like I was kind of like, wasn't really thinking about it. I knew like I wanted to help people. And at first I thought I would be a nurse or something like that. And then I realized I hated blood and anything like that.
Yeah, that's usually part of
That's usually part of it. But I didn't really feel called to ministry till I was 16.
Wow.
Yeah.
What happened that made you feel called to ministry? Was it like a moment, or was it just sort of came around going, these are sort of my skills?
Yeah. Well, I think I'd like thought about it a little bit. Like I started leading worship at my student ministry when I was like 14.
Why?
And
Could you sing? When did you realize you could sing? When you were a little kid, did you hit all the notes? And people said, you got a lovely voice.
Yeah, I think I didn't believe it for a long time. Like my mom would be like, you can sing. And I was like, no, my mom's just being nice. Like I just didn't really believe it.
Yeah.
And then I actually had a teacher who we did like a chapel program when I was in elementary school. And she heard me sing and was like, you need to pursue that. And like try to set me up with auditions and things like that. Like really like encouraged me. And that was like the first person who was like, wow, like you are gifted in this. But I was really shy. So like, I wasn't like the girl who was like, I'm going to go and sing. Like I never wanted to audition for things. I was very nervous. And so like I started singing in my youth group and I was like, always like background vocals and like was really nervous.
Quiet ones.
Yeah. And then got into it. And really, I just fell in love with it. Like I was like, I just love getting to like worship with my friends and getting to lead and sing to Jesus. And it was through leading worship that I kind of started to feel this call.
So at 14 years old, you started doing it for your youth group.
Yeah.
And then about 16, did you feel like what constituted the call?
Yeah, I was leading worship at a youth camp for my youth group, and I remember I was like on stage, and I just felt like the Lord was just like saying to me, like, you're going to serve me the rest of your life, like, and like a ministry context, just like as I was leading worship. And I didn't know what that would look like. And I was like, maybe I'm just going to lead worship the rest of my life. And I remember telling my youth pastor, I was like, I feel like I'm called to ministry. And he's like, yeah, you are. And like, it was really cool. Just like be affirmed. Yeah. I felt very affirmed. And
where did you grow up?
I grew up in Memphis, Tennessee.
Okay. Why Memphis, Tennessee? Did your family, they move there for some business reason?
Well, so my mom grew up in Memphis. She was the women's director.
Has she ever been
at
walking in Memphis?
Walking in Memphis.
Yeah. Since music, huh? Mark Cohn. All right.
Yes.
Keep going.
So she's originally from Memphis, and she was working at our home church. And then my dad's ministry ended up moving to Memphis. So our grandfather became part of Central Church, where my mom was at.
Oh, yeah.
And like kind of housed it there.
And then they met.
They met there. And then the rest is history. So that's why we were in Memphis. So.
Okay. So that's your hometown.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
You don't really talk with a Memphis, though.
No, but my dad, was a missionary kid to New York. So he was a British kid. And then I think also like public speaking and stuff like that,
Makes it so that you don't have a little bit of the drawl. Do a Tennessee accent for me.
Hey, y'all.
That's it?
Yeah. I don't know.
You got no other words?
I don't know. Fried chicken.
Fried chicken. Yeah, no, one of these days I'd like to hear somebody describe for me the differences between the Southern accents.
Yeah.
Because I used to live in Texas.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and I know a little bit about the Texas Southern accent. In Dallas, they sort of do that a little bit, but it's not really a serious one.
You're good at that. Wow.
Yeah, they talk like kind of normal, but not really normal.
Yeah.
Like, y'all. Yeah. Matt Chandler, that's what he sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to me. But anyway, I would like to know the difference between a Texas and a Florida Panhandle.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I'll have to wait for another guest for that, I guess.
Guess so.
You're not the one who's going to be able to do that
No.
for me. So, Stephanie, you get this call to ministry growing up in Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
How many sisters and brothers you have?
Just Lindsay.
Lindsay.
Yeah. Yep.
Who's sitting in the room with us
Yeah,
today.
Lindsay. Woohoo.
You guys both work at Harvest.
Yes.
For how long has Lindsay worked at Harvest?
About a year, right? Yeah.
Wow. And how long have you worked at Harvest?
Over 2 years.
Okay, so you're the reason she's here.
Well, she was attending Harvest before, because she moved here before I did.
Okay. Well, I'm going to get into that. You went to college somewhere. I'm assuming you went to high school. Do you ever play any sports?
I played tennis.
Did you?
Yes.
Are you good at tennis?
Not anymore. Probably. I haven't played in a very long time.
One hand or two hand backhand?
Two hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Need a little bit extra power that way.
Yep.
Why did you think you were going to be a pop star, by the way, when you were
because I watched Lizzie McGuire and thought I was going to.
Lizzie McGuire. That's right. I'm trying to remember your age here. Lizzie McGuire. Yeah, that's the Disney show.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I loved to sing, and that was what I thought I was going to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, good. And you kind of started doing it. When you went to college, did you decide that you were going to take up singing? Did you go to a university or a school that you thought that was going to help you that way?
So I knew I was called to ministry, and the biggest thing that I kind of saw with ministry was you need to know how to counsel people.
Yeah.
And so I actually wanted to study psychology. So and then I did a minor in worship leadership.
So you went to a Christian college. Mm-hmm. Which one?
Union University in Jackson, Tennessee.
In Jackson, Tennessee. Is that a big college or is it not?
No, it's like a small Christian school.
Okay.
But yeah, it was great. I loved my time there. It was awesome.
You didn't get your ring by spring though.
I did not. I was close, but I didn't.
Whoa, close, huh?
Uh-huh.
How close?
He was about 2 weeks from proposing.
Oh my word. Mm-hmm. So how long have you dated this guy?
2 years.
You dated him 2 years, and then what happened?
I had some really awesome friends who pulled me aside and said, I do not think this is the guy for you.
Wow.
And
how did you handle that?
It was a really crazy, messy time in my life of trying to, I realized how much I had confused the voice of God with his voice, and how much I was looking for wisdom from this guy versus actually seeking the Lord in our dating relationship. And so I took a lot of time to pray and seek the Lord, and it was very evident, like, yeah, my friends are right. And it was really hard.
This would have come out of left field for him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So did you, how did you, sorry, I'm just really interested. How did you go about communicating that message?
Yeah.
You sent him a text?
No.
That's kidding.
Yeah. I'm like,
We're
bye. Don't like you anymore. Get out of here. No, we had a lot of hard conversations because I brought up, hey, these are the concerns my friends have. And then for me, it was like these like rose-colored lenses came off. I was like, oh, like I'm really not happy. Like I do not feel at peace with God. I feel like I'm walking, if I keep walking in this, I'll be disobedient to the Lord. Wow. And he was very much like, no, like we need to get married. Like we need to do this. Like was very much like not in that space. And then eventually we both came to like, it was like, hey, this is not the best thing for both of us.
Okay.
So, yeah, it was hard.
How old were you?
Oh, I was 21.
Wow. That's tough to do at 21 years old.
Yeah.
To make a decision like that.
Yeah. And all my friends were like getting married.
Oh,
so like
of course.
I was the only one out of my four roommates.
The Christian community is kind of weird in that way, right? I mean, everybody else kind of gets married in their late 20s or 30s. Mm-hmm. But in the Christian community, yeah, if you're not married by 23, something wrong with you, apparently.
But it was like
weird.
But it changed the trajectory, like, because I had been very much like, oh, I'm going to stay in Memphis forever. Like, I was like, oh, like, I'm just going to be in Tennessee. And then from that, like, I really was like, yes, I want to really pursue ministry and really pursue the things that God's called me to. Because I'd kind of gotten comfortable in this relationship and comfortable with, like, what I thought my life was going to be.
Yeah.
And that's when I ended up applying to a bunch of grad schools and got accepted to only schools in Chicago.
Okay.
And for counseling.
So you had decided at that point, though, that you were going to be doing counseling ministry.
Yeah. Well, I'd always thought one day I'd do women's ministry. I was like, one day I'll do that, but I want to have this counseling background because I just know, like you're a lot of times you're sitting in, like, a lot of your meetings are pastoral counseling meetings.
Yeah, without a doubt.
So I was like, I want to really know how to do this well.
So where did you go to school to get your counseling degree?
Wheaton.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did you like it?
I loved Wheaton. It was awesome.
Okay.
Because it just showed like how it integrated the Bible and the counseling world. So it was able to help show you, okay, this is how these things communicate and how God designed us. And it was incredible.
So you got a master's degree in
clinical mental health counseling.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Are you currently psychoanalyzing me?
Yes. Just kidding. A lot of problems.
It's always hard whenever you find out that somebody was when I was in college and you found out somebody was a psychology major.
Oh yeah.
I just immediately want to go, oh man.
Yeah.
Because afterwards, they'd had 2 classes in psychology and they're like, you know what your problem is?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, it's worse when you're in grad school
Freud
too.
would have said, I don't care what Freud said.
I know. They're like, your attachment theory is
Exactly.
this. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Totally. Yeah. So anyway, you came out and you immediately started working with what group? Did you get a job somewhere else, or is Harvest the first place you got a job?
So I was offered. So I interned at Wheaton College Counseling Center. So I was counseling college students, and I was working with a guy.
What was that like?
It was awesome. I loved it. Like just getting to.
What are the issues that college students came to speak to you about?
Oh, everything under the sun, like depression, anxiety. Family of origin, like, you're away from your family for the first time. You're like, wow, my family's kind of crazy. And dating things, like just some premarital counseling. A lot. Eating disorders was a lot. Mm-hmm.
So there's a counseling office on the campus that offers services to the students as part of their tuition, or do they have to pay for it?
Yeah, it was free. So I'd counsel from like 8 to 5.
My word.
Every day.
And that gives you life.
It was draining for me, but what I love is helping instill hope in people.
Yeah.
Like I love getting to point to this is the truth about what God says about you.
Yeah.
And that was my favorite thing. And seeing someone go from I'm believing all these lies about myself to going to, wow, like I'm really latching onto this truth.
Yeah.
Like that was my favorite thing to see.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. And you did this for how long?
So I finished at the College Counseling Center in May when I graduated, and then my supervisor actually had a private practice and said, hey, I want to offer you to join my practice.
So you must be really good at it.
I don't know. I guess so.
Well, no, people don't offer you jobs and stuff like that if you're not good at the counseling stuff.
Well, it was a really high honor. I was really thankful that he offered that to me. But I started doing that in July after I graduated, and then I came on staff at Harvest in November.
Okay.
Of 2019.
November of 2019.
Yes,
so
sir.
we're talking like it's 4 months before COVID shut everything down.
Yep.
So your only experience in ministry basically prior was that particular time. Harvest was having a bit of a rough challenge at that point too, right?
Yeah. But I had done I had been a student ministry intern in college. Like I'd worked at a church for 2 years and at like a church in Jackson, and I did a church in Memphis for
And you came
months.
to Harvest to do what work?
I was a ministry coordinator.
Oh.
So I did admin work and
Okay, so that's different though.
yes.
Did you do it because you wanted to like get a foot in the door with a church? Was that always kind of your hope that you could work in a local church?
Yeah, I always wanted to work in a local church, and I remember when everything went down at Harvest. I remember the Lord was like, "You need to work here." Like I felt that pull in my. I was like,
Really?
I was like, Lord,
were you attending?
Yes, I was attending Harvest, and I like was there like the Sunday, like everything was going down, and I was like,
When you say everything was going down, what are you referring?
like when people were leaving and all the transitions
Pastors
happening.
were getting
Mhm. Yeah.
James got fired, and then okay.
So I was like there through all, and I was like, I'd been through a lot of different church splits and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, the way they're handling this is incredible. And also I was like, these people are hurting.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to help. How can I help? And so that was like when I started to feel the call to like come be on staff.
So you joined the staff of Harvest Bible
Mm-hmm.
Chapel. What were your first impressions of working with at Harvest behind the scenes?
Yeah. It was a very different place in like November 2019. Like I remember it was a lot more corporate than it is now. And it was like, and I remember too, I sat in a room with Beth Freeman, who was the women's director at the time. And she was like, they were just talking about stuff. And I just looked at her, I was like, you can trust me, right? And we both just started crying. Like, cause it's just like the trust had been so broken.
Really? Yeah. But there were others.
Yeah. And so it was like, so I was like, I'm not in this to like make a name for myself or I'm just here to serve.
So when you say the trust was broken, there was a feeling that you had that somebody, just trying to read into your words there,
Yeah.
that people were after their own particular
thing.
agenda.
Yep.
And not necessarily sharing all the details of that agenda with you.
Mm-hmm.
So it was always hard to know politically what people had behind the scenes.
Yeah. But it's been awesome. Like I like working with John Smith and Beth and Dave. Like it was really cool.
So you worked at the Rolling Meadows campus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I was the ministry coordinator there for quite a while, for about a year.
And then COVID shut down everything.
Right after Women's Retreat 2 years ago. Like,
really?
Yes.
So you guys were kind of like, you were probably ground zero for this whole thing. You guys were the ones who did it.
Yeah, probably.
You went to a women's retreat and then everything fell apart.
Yep. Yeah.
So what was it like for you? I mean, how old were you when COVID hit?
I was 24, 25. Yep.
So this will go down as one of the defining moments, of course, for all of our lives, but especially for somebody, I would think, a young adult who's just kind of starting out in work and ministry, and all of a sudden COVID hits, and what are you doing now?
Yeah.
You were a campus coordinator. There's nothing going on.
It was like the biggest thing that we all did as a team, we were like, how are we caring for our people? So like we were calling people, like the whole campus. We like all split up, and like I was like, hey, Judy, like, how you doing today? And it was like all calling people, praying for people.
Did you like that?
Oh, I love that. I love talking to people. So it was really fun for me.
Yeah.
But I mean, we learned a lot about like how do we interact as a team and work better and work more efficiently, and also just how do we really connect and care for our people who are really isolated, and it made us aware of like people are isolated, period. Like it's not just COVID, it's just people are isolated.
Yeah, there seems to be there's a significant amount of loneliness that happens in the world that we live in now, right? I mean, you'd think it's weird because it's so much easier to communicate nowadays than it ever has been.
Yeah.
I remember when I was in Europe when I was dating my girlfriend then, wife now, and we had to send airmail letters. This is in the early 1990s. And now like my son went to Europe for a number of months and we texted every day.
Wow.
So it's just, it's communication's easier and yet people seem to be lonelier.
Yeah.
Okay. So analyze that, counselor. Why?
I think it's because we don't actually form deep relationships. Like we actually keep it very surfacey and like, it's like our Instagram, it's like, oh, I show you what I want to show you versus like actually talking about this is how I'm really feeling and actually connecting with people. And I think too, there is kind of this anxiety of really being known. Like, oh, if I'm really known, this person's going to speak in my life. I don't know if I like that. Or like I like being comfortable where I'm at. Okay.
So it's a protection from changing.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think I've always thought to myself that I wasn't doing pastoral ministry. I'd either be involved in law or a thing called media ecology. Media ecology is the idea that the format or the medium that you use to communicate something. So in this case, a podcast. Has an influence on the content of the material that you're trying to communicate. So a good example is what you just mentioned. So Instagram as a medium.
Yeah.
Okay. There are certain things about the medium that dictate the communication, right? So one of the things that dictates the communication of the content is that it's everybody's best self.
Yep.
Right. So we think that we are getting to know somebody through Instagram, but you're not. You're actually just getting to know the highlight reel of their lives. And ultimately, people are really not open to sharing the weak things, which of course creates, not just on Instagram, it has a bleed over effect into the rest of their lives, right?
Yeah.
And on one hand, it creates a lot of difficult, people who use Instagram a lot. There's a lot of envy, right? Because my life doesn't look like that. And why are these people always going to Hawaii? Do you know what I mean? Like if you had to stay home for spring break and everyone's sending their thing from Phoenix or Hawaii or whatever, hey, look at these friends are in the south of France. How can they afford that?
Yeah.
Right? She doesn't do what are they doing? They must be in massive debt. Do you see what I'm saying? And so there becomes this comparison game that goes on and that influences wider things. And so, media ecology is fascinating. But anyway, you got me on my little train of thought there.
That's good.
So Stephanie, somebody came along and asked you to be a women's director.
Yeah, they were crazy.
At some point, but you weren't going to be a women's director. That was not the plan. You were supposed to go. By the way, that was me.
I know.
So,
surprise everyone.
When I came here, you weren't planning on being a women's director.
That was like probably one of those things that I had in the back of my mind, had prayed about for like maybe one day that would happen. That was like this something I probably had not told maybe like a handful of people that I'd ever want to do that.
What was the draw to do something like that?
It's like a combination of all my favorite things. Like I love pouring into women. I love teaching. I love events. I love discipleship. I love counseling. Like it's all the things I love in one package.
Right.
Because I just love ministry. Like I love ministering to people.
You get to do the whole thing with that.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really on your radar?
No. I mean, it was one of those things like when I kind of got shuffled around a little bit for a period of time. Like when Beth left in 20...
She used to be the women's director here for those who don't know.
Yeah. When she left, I was became the associate director of women's and counseling for just the Rolling Meadows campus. And I was like, this doesn't really fit right. I don't know what's going on. Yeah. And then I was like, this should fit. And then I just did counseling for like a couple of months.
Yeah.
I was like, this doesn't fit right either. And then when you came along, we're like, I want you to do this. I was like, oh my goodness. But then I was just like, this fits right.
Yeah.
But I never would have been like, that's for me.
Yeah.
You know?
It's pretty easy to tell that it's for you. Well, it's one of the things that has been fun. I mean, I've had some of the most joy I've had in ministry is being able to identify the gifts in people and saying, oh, that person belongs on that seat. And it was not very hard with you because everybody else was everybody wanted a piece of Stephanie. And I was like, well, that probably is an indication that Stephanie's really good at a lot of things. And it's important for the person who's directing a women's ministry to do that. You're also really approachable. You know that, right? Like the best women's pastors in the world, women's ministry directors, for me, women's pastors in the world are just super approachable people. And they don't put on airs or try to convince everybody else that they're, they got it all sorted out. Whatever. I mean, I have some funny stories about interactions with some women's ministry directors in the past who were lovely, lovely people, but they always wear like red stiletto heels and big capes and stuff like that. Which, of course, it's not.
I
it's
need a cape.
Do you know what I mean? Though
Yeah.
It's the kind of picture that I think a lot of women have in their mind. Oh, I'm going to go to the women's event. It's going to have everyone with lots of red lipstick.
Yeah.
So you just came off of, though, your first big event that you guys have done as a women's ministry. You've been doing this for several months.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened this weekend?
It was awesome. Like, honestly, it's just the Lord. Like, we did all this planning and preparation. We talked about what it means to be written into the story of God.
Where was this event?
It was at the Marriott Lincolnshire.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where that is.
Yeah, it's near Deerfield.
Okay.
Yep.
It's near Deerfield.
Mm-hmm.
You went up there. Mm-hmm. Everyone stayed the night in the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys had all of your stuff in the conference rooms of the hotel.
Yep.
Right. And how many women were involved in it?
About 500.
That's a lot of women involved in an event.
Awesome.
Were you freaked out that wasn't going to happen?
I think for a little bit we were like, if we just get 350, like if we just get like this number.
Yeah.
Especially with like, we were trying to figure out rooms and like COVID was still like so crazy at the time when like a couple months ago when we were planning. I was like, I have no idea.
Yeah, what's going to happen?
Yeah. And then it was like this weekend, it like opened up a lot more here in Chicago. So it's like, oh, wow.
Yeah. And so then you got together, you got 500 women and nobody cried.
Oh, we cried. We cried all weekend.
I was telling somebody, I should have given you guys a piece of advice before you went. You needed to have a comedian right in the middle just to bring you guys out of the tears.
I know.
Just for a few minutes. But yeah, you had several speakers who were involved in it. And what kinds of things did they share?
Yeah, so we talked about the sovereignty of God, about God being the author of your story. Then we talked about what it means to be a character in God's story and how a lot of times your story looks different than someone else's. And then we talked about the conflict of our story of Adam and Eve in the fall. And Vanessa Dalrymple shared her testimony, which was really, really powerful. And then Bethany talked about holy commissioning of we have a call on our lives because we are written in the story of God. And our story is to tell God's story.
That's great.
So it was great.
And it was well received.
Yes.
The ladies were there. You didn't do any counseling.
I did a lot of counseling.
On the weekend. Well, it's good though. It's nice though when you get there and you realize that you're well equipped for the stuff that you're dealing with at the time.
Yeah.
You did a breakout session too. Mm-hmm. My wife went to your breakout session.
I know.
What was your breakout session about?
It was about anxiety.
I wonder what that means that she went to. Anyway, just kidding. She's probably trying to figure out how to deal with her husband. Seriously. It was funny on the women's ministry weekends, whenever there's a women's retreat or conference or something like that, that in my past anyway, the church has gone to, it is always fun to see the guys with the little kids behind them.
Aww.
They're not, not everybody does it, right? Especially in the era of video. And they think, well, if there's one week we're going to miss, it's going to be this week because I don't know how to get those kids anywhere. Yeah. So it was interesting in the church to see dads with their little ones all in tow, which was good.
Yeah.
But I think the ladies were missed. They should probably know that.
Yeah.
They were quite missed on the weekend. But I'm really glad to hear that it was a good thing. Do you feel like you feel like this is kind of a launching point then for you guys?
Yeah.
In your ministry, you feel like you're coming off of something that's really strong?
Yes. I feel like this set a good tone of us. I think I felt like a weekend of change and freedom. Like it felt like a weekend where it was finally like, hey, we're not going to just stay the surface level with each other and also with the Lord. Like, what does it look like to actually dive in deep as women together with the Lord? So,
that's great. That's really good to hear. Okay, so what's the weirdest thing you've ever heard in a counseling room?
Oh.
Can you share that? You're not going to use names. Just share me the weirdest thing.
What the weirdest thing is.
No, nothing super weird?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's like just people who've like had just weird things happen to them. I'm like, that's interesting. You know, like can't think
So
of anything super weird.
when you've been, so you do lots of things. So worship leading.
Yes.
Has there ever been a moment where you've been up on the worship leading that everything was going wrong?
Yes.
Okay, what happens? Well, like, explain to me what went wrong, and then what did you do?
Oh, the amount of times my in-ears fall out of my ears, and I'm like I'm like having to like dig around for them on the floor and like put them back in. So that's happened a lot. I've definitely like missed my cue, like missed like when I'm supposed to come in. And
So what do you do if you miss your cue?
I just start mumbling till I find where I need to be.
Watermelon.
Like, you know, I'm just like, okay, where am I at? So, yeah, when I was a kid, I one time was singing at something and I sneezed in the microphone. So that was a good one too.
Do you want to hear something funny? I drink, drink Coke Zero and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't drink coffee. So in the mornings, sometimes I drink something with caffeine in it.
Yeah.
And sometimes before I go and I preach, I drink Coke Zero.
Mm-hmm.
And it is not uncommon for me to have a burp that comes up in the middle of the thing. And, you know, when you're not expecting those ones, you know, and then all of a sudden, you know, and the microphone. And I didn't really, most people didn't notice it until COVID. And I was doing a lot of online stuff. I was preaching to a camera.
Yeah.
And they would be like, it became a joke of, when is Jeff going to burp in this sermon?
Oh my God.
And how many minutes in? And yeah,
like this comment.
it was pretty funny.
So funny. Have you burped here?
Oh yeah, 1,000 times. Are you kidding me? You learn how to hide
Look out, Harvest people.
it. You learn how to hide it after a while. didn't
Saturday night. Watch out.
you? Yeah. Maybe that's why they don't like me. Saturday. I don't like this guy. He burps too much. Yeah, no, it's one of the funny things that I enjoy doing is when I spend time with people who do, you know, in front of people things.
Mm-hmm.
There's this second conversation that you are having in your head while you're doing the thing, whether it's singing or preaching or whatever. There's two things going on.
Oh.
There's you preaching or you singing, and then this constant underlying conversation that's going on in your head, trying to think, okay, what's the next line? Or, oh, look, so-and-so's here.
Yeah.
Oh, I wonder how they're doing. I'll have to look for them after the thing. And then you get a little freaked out because now you're thinking a little too long about so-and-so. And you're like, oh, wait a minute. I'm supposed to know the next verse.
Yeah. I feel like that happens more with me with teaching, for sure. Teaching, I feel like with worship stuff, I'm like, oh, I just look at the screen. It'll be fine. I'll find like teaching. You're like, wait, where'd I go?
That.
Like, I'm like, I need to make sure I'm back where I need to be.
When I first came here to Harvest, they have a video screen right in front of
yeah.
And I told the first thing they in the like sound check, they had the screen on so you could see yourself.
I hate it.
And I said, no, that's not happening. No, you got to shut that off right away.
Yeah.
And so they did, and they've done it since. But on one or two occasions, they've left it on, and I will not preach. I will not continue.
Yeah.
Like I will interrupt the whole thing and say, no, come here. You guys need to come down and shut this screen off right here because it's bad enough everybody else has to see me. I don't want to look at myself.
I don't want to see the weird things I do.
I don't want to look at myself.
Worship leading, that's where I'm always like, oh my gosh. I'm like, I'm making weird faces. So, like, I don't need that.
Well, you know what? The beauty, you're very genuine. Do you still lead worship all the time?
Yeah, like probably like at least 3 times a month.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So,
what's your favorite worship song right now?
Oh, I really like Firm Foundation right now.
I don't know what that is.
It's like a Cody Carnes song. That's good.
Cody
yeah.
Carnes.
I like Vertical Worship too.
Do you like anything from Petra?
I don't. I don't even know what Petra is. I'm sorry.
That's a throwback to the little conversation I had with Tommy earlier.
Yeah.
I went to a Petra concert once. Yeah, it was.
Wow. I'm sad that you don't like concerts though.
I like going to, church. I guess a lot of the worship music at church is sort of concerty now, so I guess it's okay. I enjoy the singing along of all that kind of thing, but I'm too cynical. I look behind the scenes and I look at the things and I'm like, oh, you're just trying to present yourself as this big superstar, and you're not that great. Isn't that terrible? It's a challenge that I have. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little too optimistic, so I'm like, this is great.
Keep it that way. That's fantastic. Naivete can be a great thing. Just kidding, Stephanie.
Jeez.
Stephanie. Okay, so time for the lightning round.
Oh, yeah. Ask some questions.
All right. Stephanie, if you could do anything on any given day, what would you be doing?
I'd ride roller coasters.
What's the best roller coaster in the world that you've ridden?
Oh, man. I have to think. I like anything at Six Flags. I like any roller coaster. It's hard to.
Anyone?
Yeah.
Okay. But not one
like
better than the others?
I don't like the teacups. That's all I don't like.
Do you like the ones that do like the loop-de-loop thing?
Bring it on.
Those are the good ones. Do you like roller coasters that have you hanging down from the top, so where you're not sitting down, but you're hanging and you...
Yeah, like the Superman?
Yeah.
Love those.
You like that kind of thing?
Anything.
So you would go to a theme park and ride roller coasters?
Yeah, or go to the beach. Those are my two favorite things.
What's your favorite beach?
I love Gulf Shores. That's like where we went as a family. I like Rosemary Beach.
Where is Gulf Shores?
Alabama.
Oh.
Yeah.
There are beaches in Alabama?
Yes. They're like, and it's like a hidden gem because they're such nice beaches.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Surprise.
Yeah. Well, from the West Coast, when we think beaches, we think only one place.
Yeah.
In California. So, so we're always surprised, we West Coasters. Wait a minute. You have beaches on the Atlantic?
Yes.
It is pretty funny, right? What is your favorite song to sing in front of people?
I like leading What a Beautiful Name.
Okay, why?
I think I love the progression of the song. Like I love where it leads, and I also love songs where people are singing out and they know it and they're like
right into it.
Yeah, like I love that.
Okay. If you could do anything else besides what you're doing right now, what would you be doing?
What would I be doing? I would be like a travel blogger or something.
Really?
Just travel around. Yeah.
What's the favorite place you've ever been?
Italy.
Where in Italy?
Specifically Florence.
Okay, give people the lowdown on something they should do if they go to Italy.
If you go to Italy, you need to go to Florence and check out like all the museums there. The art's beautiful. Yeah,
a lot of art in Florence.
It's beautiful, and just the basilica there is incredible.
It is pretty.
Yeah. I loved it. And then get a croissant and drink some coffee and just have a great
sit.
time. Yeah.
Yeah. It's actually something the Americans don't usually do when they go and travel to places like Europe, is that you need to just sit.
Yes.
Right? Just sit at the cafe, watch people go by. Yeah, it's the beauty of it. How many times have you been to Europe a lot?
No, that was for like a study abroad thing.
Oh, wow. Can you speak Italian?
No, I cannot.
Do you speak any other languages?
I know some Spanish, but not.
Okay, give me your best Spanish line.
Hola, ¿cómo estás? Muy bien. ¿Y tú?
Wow, yeah. You're right into it. Okay, good. No sports? You don't like any professional sports team?
I like basketball. I like the Memphis Grizzlies. Yep.
Well, we're gonna have to end it there. And
it's like
the reason is because the Memphis Grizzlies were stolen from Vancouver.
Oh, what?
And I don't think cities that steal other teams are really important.
Have we become arch
when I became
nemesis?
my team was the Seattle Supersonics, and so Oklahoma City stole them from us. And now people ask me, "Oh, do you cheer for Oklahoma City?" No, you don't, listen. You don't cheer for the girl for the other guy who stole your girl. What are you talking about? No, he's evil. Oklahoma City's evil. I refuse to go there for anything ever, ever.
Wow.
I hope the I don't even want to say their names. The Blunder. I hope the Blunder fail miserably and go out of existence.
Wow.
Bring back the Sonics is what I say.
Do you feel that about Memphis Grizzlies?
I didn't love Vancouver's team as much, but since I live there, yeah, I do.
Okay.
How dare they? How dare they? Okay. Have you been to a Grizzlies game?
Yes.
Okay. Do you like them?
I do.
What's your favorite thing about a Grizzlies game?
I mean, first off, it's like Memphis is like a big small town, so like you run into all your friends. Like you're like, oh hey, like all your friends from church are all there, and then also I love watching basketball. I think it's super fun. Like just getting to watch the game, and I like live sports.
Yeah. It seems to me that you're like, you enjoy a good experience.
Yes.
So if I were going to psychoanalyze you, I'd say that you're a bit of a thrill seeker, and you want to have the whoosh that comes from the moment.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
Kind of a hedonist then.
Oh, well, that's one way to put it. Thank
Stephanie,
you.
this has been really good to talk to you. If you see Stephanie around, you need to pat her on the back. She's an absolute delight and has done a really, really good job with the women's ministry so far. And there usually, when I ask people to do something, there's like a little bit of hesitation, like, oh, I hope that doesn't blow up.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never had that hesitation with you. I've always been really confident that you're going to be able to do it. And you have proven that true in the mouths of lots and lots of women who've told me that many times. So feel affirmed.
Thank
Anyway,
you.
God bless you. Thanks for the rest of you. We'll talk to you the next time.